Hello, welcome to Trish's Cards and Crafts, and today I'm going to show you a technique called Joseph's Coat. It'll look a bit strange to start with, but by the end you'll understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm going to make a New Year's card. I'm going to use the light in the sky for these fireworks stamps, and I'm going to use this sentiment from the year to celebrate. Okay, so I've already put the stamps that I want to use on blocks ready, but before I even do any stamping, I've got to do some embossing. Not embossing, we've got to do some colouring, and I'm going to use Parakeet Party, Lemon Lolly, Pumpkin Pie, and which one did I use last time? I need a nice bright blue. Can't remember where I put it because it's not there. Sorry, won't be a second. I will find the colour I want now. No, it's not there. So there it is. This one. Oops. Tahitian type. So I've got those four colours because they're nice and bright, and I need them to be bright because of what I'm going to be doing. I don't know whether you've seen this before, this technique, but it's quite an interesting one. So I'm going to start off, I think, with my yellow, my Lemon Lolly. And I'm going to be using blending brushes, and I'm going to put colour all over this, obviously not with with different colours, not just one colour. So I'm going to start off here, and then I'm going to put some more up there, and another one down here. I might just put one just off here. Not sure if I'll need it or not. So that's what I'm going to do with my Lemon Lolly. Then I'm going to do my Pumpkin Pie next, so I can put this one away. Nice bright orange. So put one here. Another one up here. It doesn't matter if they go into each other. And just off here. I've put a piece of paper underneath just so that it keeps my work surface cleaner. So that's all I'm going to do with the orange. Now I'm going to use the I don't know, I think I'll use the green one next, the Parakeet Party. I need a different brush. Whoops. I don't mind mixing the brushes for different colours. No, that doesn't make sense. You don't mind using the same brush for different greens and different yellows for the yellow brush. So I'm trying to keep them so that I know which colours I've used them. So I've got different coloured handles on the brushes. You can, with Stampin' Up, we have these, this is a small brush. They do a bigger brush as well, but I don't have any of those at the moment because I wanted to try and make sure I bought these before these came out. So I'm just using these up for now. Oh, and there's not a lot of colour comes out of this one. Not sure why, because there's plenty of colour on it. I do need to make sure I keep some space for my blue as well. I might just put a little bit over here. A little bit up here maybe. So we've got our green down. So now I'm going to use my blue, and I'm using I tried yesterday. Let me just see if I can clean that off a little bit. Yes, I thought so. I'm going to use, hopefully I'm going to use a wet wipe just to try and take some of it off. They're not very wet, but they're a little bit damp, so just to take the worst of the colour off. Get it all over me. I used the Night of Navy on it yesterday, so it will be a bit dark, and I don't really want it to be too dark. So let's just dry that off a bit. There we go. Nothing much coming off that now. Put this one away. And we'll get this one out. Put my finger straight in it. There we go. Right, so now I'm going to use this one. I'm going to use a little bit here. See, they're not coming out very well. I don't know why. A bit down here. Don't want to go murky, that's the only thing. And then sort of trying to fill in the spaces a little bit more. So some of it down here. Don't know that I'll actually go to the edges, but I'm going to do right to the edge just in case. This one, I've got a little space here. And a little space over here. And it doesn't matter too much if they go a little bit blobby, because you won't probably see it anyway very much, only in certain places, which you'll find out in a moment. And you'll see why. I'm not too worried about this corner, but I'll just put a little bit there just in case. There we go. So I might put a little bit just down there. There we go. That should be plenty. Right. Now I just need to try and dry this off a little bit. So I'm going to use my heat gun on the low setting just to try and dry off, to make sure there's no wet or damp ink left. There we go. There we go. So use that for now. That should be dry. I'm also going to use my embossing buddy, a little pad, just to make sure that there definitely is no more damp ink left. There we go. Hopefully no finger marks on there either. Right, so just give it a quick, there we go. Now I'm going to do some stamping, and I'm going to use the stamps that I have already put on these blocks. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm going to use some Versamark ink. I've got a small one here. I've got a new one, but I'll carry on using this one for now because I just inked it up yesterday. So it's nice and freshly inked. And I'm going to do the biggest stamp first. Put plenty on. And I'm going to put this one right in the middle here. Well, not quite middle, but there we go. And then just make sure that's gone down. And then you can't really see a lot, I know, but it is there. Then I'm doing the next size down. I might do a couple of these. I'll try and show you a bit more once I've stamped a couple of these. One there and one maybe above that one. Might put that one over here. There we go. And then I'm going to use this one. Looks to me like a bit like a spider. And I'm going to put that one here. And just coming there, just off the side there, and then one last one over here. There we go. Now I've got one last one, the smallest one, I think. They're pretty much the same size, I think, the last two. And this one I'm going to put in the middle here. And another one coming in off the side over here. Another one just off the side here. And just at the bottom there. And one last one over here. There we go. Right. So, as I said, you probably won't be able to see much of this, but I'll try see if you can just about catch. If they can catch the light, you'll be able to see. I'm going to put some, turn this over, it doesn't matter, and I'm going to put some clear embossing powder over the top now. So I'm going to put it all over. I'm covering it all up, and then I'm going to try my best to put it back in the pot as well. And you should now be able to see what I did. Just tap the excess off, see if anywhere, there you go, you can see hopefully where the powder is. Put a little bit on there just to make sure I've got all of it covered. There we go. And just tap the excess off. Just put that out of the way a second. And I will just try and put as much of this now back in the pot as I can. Probably need to do it on the bottom sheet as well, if I manage to get it on both. I will need this again in a second. And I'll use this one as well. Take this off because I think there's some on here as well. Don't necessarily need that in there as well. Whoops. There we go. Not much left, if anything, left on the paper now. Whoops. So, before I do anything else, I'll put that back down. I'm going to use my heat embossing machine here. Just hold that onto there for now. And hopefully you'll be able to see this change once it gets hot enough. just sort of goes shiny. Sorry if it's a bit noisy. I don't think I've got any left. Don't really want to do too much. There we go. Let's just, no, I think that's all done. There we go. So now that is my piece of paper ready for the next part of it. So I hope you can see that there's those shapes that are on top of the colours. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to use Light of Navy cards ink, but I did try doing it with the brush, but it doesn't work very well with the brush. Oops. Because it takes a long time, and we haven't got a long time, but I will keep the brush handy just to finish things off, because last time it helped a little bit. So I'm going to use, it would have been easier if I found my mini dots, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to use the stamp pad itself to wipe over the top of this. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to just go over the top of this like so, and then I'm going to make sure I cover it all. There we go. And then I'm going to turn it round, and I'm going to do it on this side as well. Making sure that I've covered, press it down on over all of the paper. As far as I can. There we go. I think that should just be good. I'm going to just use my brush just to make sure I get as much ink as I can all around. Just going to use a little bit extra places where I think I might have missed a little bit. I think with these particular this stamp set in particular, this is a great technique to use, because it just makes it's so effective. I mean, you could die cut the shapes out and then put different colours underneath it, but I really think this is a great technique to use with this. I think it really works well. Here we go. All right, I think that's most of it covered. And then you can either use, well, you can use whatever you've got. I'm going to use some dry wet wipes that I've used before. If you've got paper towel or something like that, you can use that. I mean, this is, with using the brush over the top of that, it has taken a lot of the excess off anyway. Let me just bring this down. and you just wipe over the top. You could use a wet one, but I think probably it's just as well to use. You will take more of the colour off if you, more of the navy off if you use it wet. Whereas if you use a dry one, you don't take as much colour off. And as you do it, you can see that the navy is coming off because it's water-based. It's coming off with the resistance from the clear embossing powder. So that just about is done. So that is my background for my card, and that is the Joseph's coat technique. So you put colour, you lay colour down first, preferably brighter colours. You can use, it works nicely if you're doing autumn leaves and you've got you put different reds and browns and oranges and yellows and greens. They work really well with leaves. There's lots of different ones, but you need quite a solid stamp rather than an outline stamp, if you get what I mean, hopefully. I don't think it would work as well with an outline stamp, because then you wouldn't be able to colour it in if you think about it. And then you'd end up with just the lines showing, and that wouldn't be as effective. So you're better off having something with a solid shape. So if you've got flowers that have got solid leaves or petals rather than just outlines of the petals, it would work okay with those as well. So you could do it for flowers as well. Okay, so that is the basis of this technique. Now, the card I made before was I did some extra things to it, and I'm going to try and do that now. So if you've got, I have got white, yes, brilliant. I've got my white Whisper White stamping ink. This is more of a chalk paint, but it does work with this, and I'm going to put some on my block like that. It's quite thick, and I'm going to use my water brush, and I'm going to add some water to it because I want to thin it down a little bit. I don't want it to be as thick as that, but I do need it to be quite thick because I want it to show up. Because I'm going to use, there we go, that's better. I'll use the end of this brush and we will tap it. Oops, it's not watery enough. This is how we work out what we need to do. So we want it to come off the brush. We don't want it to stay on the brush. So we need it to be quite wet. There's plenty of water in my brush, so it's not a problem. So we're going to water this down so that it's reasonably watery, and then just going to tap lightly to add some white dots for the stars, perhaps in the sky. That's fine, maybe a couple more up here. There we go. And the other thing I did on the other, when I did my prototype, which I haven't got here to show you, is I used some Wink of Stella as well. I'm just going to see if I can just take the excess off the brush there. Put the lid back on. Don't need that now. And I've got some Wink of Stella here. And take the lid off, and I'm just going to push slightly to bring some down. I want it to come out. I didn't want to do that. That's what I was trying not to do, because I don't need that much, but that's fine. So I'm going to try, hopefully, and do the same thing with the Wink of Stella that I just did with the white, but it doesn't want to come out as much. It's either going to come, it's going to be all or nothing, I think, with this. Yes, it is coming out, just not very visible. So hopefully you'll be able to see this in a moment once I dry it off a little bit. Here we go, there we are. I think that'll be plenty. You can see I've got it all around. So you need to try and protect your workspace if you are going to be doing this. So put that away. So now I'll try and show you. So you've got, there is some on there. It's not that easy to see. The white will dry quicker than the actual Wink of Stella will. So I'll just try and dry it off a little bit with my heat gun, but I don't want it to be too fierce because I don't want it to interfere with the embossing paste, embossing powder that I put down already. I just want to try and dry that off a little bit so that the Wink of Stella dries off a little bit so that I can carry on with the next part of it without smudging it all over the paper. There we go. Now we'll carry on with the rest of it, I think. I'm making this card with a 5x7 card base, and I'm using white card base. I could have made it with a different size card base, but I'm going to stick to the 5x7 one, which is what I made the first one from. And I'm using a piece, I'll get rid of this now, don't need that. Just put that to one side a moment while we prepare this. There you go, that's not got anything there that I need to worry about. So I'll use my bone folder just to crease that down a bit more. So I've got a piece of, this is Night of Navy, I think it's called, is this the one? Let me just check. Yes, this is the Soft Shimmer 12x12 speciality paper. It's got Berry Burst, Bubble Bath, Lost Lagoon, Night of Navy and Pretty Peacock. So I've got the Night of Navy, so that's the Bubble Bath, I think. And I've used the, yesterday I think I used this one, which was the Bubble Bath. Oh no, Bubble Bath, Berry Burst. So I used that because I thought that because I want sparkly background because of the fireworks, I thought it would be nice to use this. Another thing that would be nice is if you've got some night sky, that would be nice as well to put. And what I've done, I've cut this one down, the 5x7 base. This is cut to 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and I cut my piece of paper down to so that there's a 1/4 of an inch all the way around. So it's 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 inches. So that's what I've done with the top layer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stick this down to my card, and I'm going to use some Tombow for this. You don't have to, you could use seal, you could use tear and tape. I was trying to think what it was then. So I could use, whoops, I've got some right on the edge. Have to be careful with that. Wipe that off a moment. There we go. And I will be using it, which I don't normally use on white card, but because it's coloured as well, it's different, slightly different. But I need something strong to hold the paper onto the glimmer paper, because that's the only problem with glimmer paper. It's not very easy always to stick things to it. It doesn't always like having things stuck to it. And I've just got a little bit less on that side. Never mind, that's fine. Just get rid of this glue that's stuck on the side. Don't want that on there. That's the only problem. The adhesive rubbers seem to sometimes get a little bit messy. There we go. Let's get this off there. There. Got the excess off there. So that's okay. My fingers are a bit sticky now, but they'll be okay. It's either that or got hair stuck to them. There. Hopefully that's okay. So that's my background piece. Hang on, I've got more. But the thing with this shimmer, although it's nice and sparkly, if nothing comes off, it doesn't shed at all. So this is nice. So that's my background. This is going to go over the top, but I'm also going to do some embossing to do the Happy New Year. And I'm going to use a piece of nice Night of Navy, because I haven't tried it, but I don't think it will necessarily stick to this very easily. So I'm going to use the Night of Navy to do my sentiment, and I'm going to use a long, because it's a long sentiment, this one, it's a nice long one. Going to use a longer block, because I'm not sure what I've done with some of my blocks. They've disappeared. But that's not a problem, they will turn up. So Happy New Year, just put that on there, and I'm going to do this again with Versamark. Where that came from, and just stamp this up. There we go. And I'm going to put this on here. There we go. That should be fine. Sorry about that. I was looking around seeing what I've done with my white embossing powder. I had it yesterday, so I'll probably put it back. 2 seconds. Definitely used it yesterday. Oops. What's this one? Oh, Pick Bright White. That's the one. So I'm now going to get my piece of paper back again, and I'm going to put this over the top. So this time it's not clear, it's white. Cover that properly, nicely, and tip it back into the pot. And it would have helped if I'd used my embossing buddy first, because that would have helped if I'd got anything. I've done that too violently. Not too much of it off. There we go, that's better. So now I'm going to have to use a little brush, if I can find one quickly. I know I've got one in my pot. There we go, that will do. Just need to get a couple of these little bits away. I don't want to blow on it, because if I do, I'll end up... Right. This bit has gone a bit strange. Like I said, if I'd used my embossing buddy first, this wouldn't have happened, but I forgot. There we go. Now this is... Oh dear. do. Put this back in the pot. Actually, I think I might just start again. Do this again. Let me just get my, I'm going to wipe this off. But I'll do it on the other side. Doesn't matter too much, but there's no point in wasting it. I'm going to use my embossing buddy, just wipe that over the top, take out any marks that might be on there, and use my Versamark again. There we go. And put that here. That's better. And now try again with the white. That's much better. You see, that's a much better finish. Slight, a little bit just there, bottom of the H. Get that off, a tiny little bit just there. That's okay. Right, that's ready to heat now. Let's get rid of all of this white. I don't need that bit in there. Don't know where that came from. Can get rid of that. Don't need to put that back in my pot. There we go. There we are. Right. So now I can just close that up, put it away, get my little block out again, and now heat up my heat gun. There we go. This is what happens if you overheat. It does sort of tend to go into the paper. I don't know whether you can see that very well. So it's just gone in slightly, so I've overheated that a little bit. But there we go, it's fine, it'll be okay. And I'm now going to use my paper snips, and I'm just going to cut around this. I'm just going to do this first. I don't want to use a big piece. There we go. And I'd start here, and I'm just going to go around reasonably close to the outline of the letters. I'm not bothering to go in too close because I'm then going to mount this onto some more of that glimmer paper, and then I'll cut more of a border around the outside then. So I just want a small blue navy border around the letters. But I'm not going to go mad. It's not a problem that way. I'm not going to go right. There we go. This is just a little time consuming, but I'll do my best to be as quick as I can. Do try and move the paper rather than the scissors, because it tends to give you a smoother finish. And up and around. just the happy left. There we go. And that's done. So I've got my Happy New Year. And now I'm going to mount this, hopefully, yes, onto there. And I'm going to use some Tombow again on the back, because it's got to stick to the glimmer paper and it tends to take a little bit more, something a bit stronger to be able to stick this down. So that should be plenty. I'm going to put this on here. There we go. There we are. So that should be, just go over that to make sure it's pushed right down on it. There we go. So now I'm going to cut it out again, but I'm not going to be quite so close to the letters this time, because I want to make sure I got some of the nice glimmer paper showing. Around the outside of it, but I don't necessarily want it to be all straight lines. I want to just make it look like it's around the letters. Try and go that better, up a little bit higher. Fine. So there's my Happy New Year. I'll just do that again. Try and flatten that out. There we go. And I'm going to use some dimensionals on this. I've got some mini dimensionals I could use. I've got some black ones somewhere, which probably would be better than these. If I can find them, that's the problem. I don't know if they're here. Let me just see if I've got them. Like those are white ones. They're just on this side. Ah, here's some. These are black ones, so you won't be able to see them as well when they're stuck onto the paper. So just use some of these. They're just a nice, they're just the right sort of size to fit on here. What you can do as well, if you wanted to, I mean, I don't think I'm going to need to, but you could put some Tombow on top of these once you take the backings off them, and that would make sure that if you were sticking it onto the glimmer, which I'm not, so it doesn't really matter to that. Hopefully you can hear what I said. Happy New Year. And I've got my things. The other thing I like to do, I've put on the other card I made, was some of this Night of Navy ribbon. And I just did a little, put it over the top like that. So I might just do the same thing with this one. I'll cut that off at an angle, just because I think it looks quite nice on here. So now I'm going to have to, hopefully this, I don't know what that was. Forgotten. Wink of Stella is now dry, hopefully, and I'm going to use some Tombow on the back of here. Make sure I get plenty of it down, because I really want to make sure it sticks down properly. I don't want it oozing out as usual, but I do want to make sure that it stays put and doesn't come off. You don't want to give somebody something and then it peels away when it arrives. So there we go. I think that should be plenty. and just turn this over and put this down. And like I said, this should be a nice 1/4 inch border around with the Night of Navy glimmer paper. And I'll just go over the back there. Make sure that's held down nicely. Don't think any of that will come off. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do this, and I'll put this, I think it'll go down here. That's where I'll put my sentiment here. So I'm going to put some adhesive. I'll use my Seal Plus. It doesn't matter which one I use. Oops, it does, because that's not going to work. So I definitely will have to have it there. Right, that's not. I will use some tear and tape if I can find it. I've got some here somewhere. I'll use this one. Oh, it's up here. There we go. I won't need that one. I can use this one. Put that out of the way. And if I can find the end, here we go. Still a bit damp, I think. That's probably why it did that. But it doesn't really matter because you're not going to see it because that will be over the top of it. Anyway, that didn't even work either. Oh, this is not fun. Just press that down. Right, now let's get this tool and see. Yay, it's staying there this time. And I'm going to do this, so I'm going to go there, there, and there. And then I'll just take these off. Backs off these. As you can see, they're nice. They're black. So the other thing I could have done, which I didn't think of, is if you've got white card, this one's not so bad because it's only the white is on the back. But if you've got white card, you don't necessarily want the white showing around. You can either use, I could use a Night of Navy pen if I've got one handy, or you can use a black one. Try this one to see if it works. And you can just colour, just go around the edge, and it takes the white off. And then if you're looking at it, you won't see the white at all. If you're looking at it from above or below, it disappears then even more. So that is going to go about there. So there we go. So we've got our card, and I think that's about it. I'm not going to do anything inside because I'm going to put something else. I'll put my own greeting on the inside when I'm ready. What you could do, what I can do, is I might just use, clean one of these off a minute. I'll use one of the smaller fireworks off. Just clean this off first. And I might put a little bit of ink on here. I'll use some Tahitian Tide. And I'll put that on there. Don't think I've got one that could use that as well. Yeah, so I'll put some of this on first. And I'm going to use some pumpkin pie just on the edges, if I can get it off. Yes, that's it. Just go like that on the edge, so there's a bit of two-tone. And then I will stamp this down here. There we go. So that's on my inside, and then on my envelope, just move you out of the way a second in case I get something on there. I will just clean this off again. I don't want the orange on my blue ink pad. I'll just ink that back up again. There we go. And I will put some orange again on the outside. And I'll put that down there. There we go. So that is my Happy New Year card with the Joseph's coat technique. There we go. I hope you've enjoyed it, and maybe you'll have a go at trying to do one yourself. I think it's really fun, and I love it with this pattern, the stamps that I've used for it as well. And because I wanted it to look as if it's in the night sky, I've put the extra, the Wink of Stella and the white ink as well. But you don't have to do that part of it. But it does look quite effective. There are other techniques you can use as well with it, but I think this one looks quite good as it is. So I hope you agree. Thank you very much for joining me. Sorry it's been a long video, but hopefully you'll have enjoyed it and you'll get something out of it. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon. I think this will be going out on Friday, just before Christmas, because I'm not being able to do a live this week because I'm out. So I'm recording this so that I'll be able to put it onto my YouTube channel, and you'll be able to watch it when I'm out. So thank you again for joining me, and I hope you all have a lovely Christmas and hopefully a very happy New Year. Thank you. Bye bye.